New on Curiosity Stream. How do you connect a 16th century potato to limitless energy production? Could Napoleon's toothpick have a direct link to a machine that predicts the future? And how can a 1700s conch shell chart a course to humans connecting their brains to the internet? James Burke's visionary series Connections returns for a new generation. Experience all new Connections. With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
It's the pop culture field.
What's going on, everybody? All you creeps, ghouls, and monsters out there, welcome to the Halloween edition of the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast, sitting right at the intersection, the extremely spooky intersection of weapons, action, the military, and pop culture.
And the great beyond.
And the great beyond. Whatever is out there, whatever goes bump in the night. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Fath, and with me as always is the illustrious
Israel Wright. It's good to be back, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you.
For those of you that care, because Halloween is really it's very commercialized, it's very bastardized. But it's it's pretty much only in America, I think. You know, maybe England?
Maybe. I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the macabre, anything spooky and ghosty like.
The macabre?
Something drives me to it. I don't know what it is, but I like spooky stuff. So I'm especially excited for this episode.
I mean, Halloween was fun. Obviously, Halloween's fun when you're a kid, but I feel like it's just an excuse for women to dress slutty.
Absolutely.
You know,
what's wrong with that?
Look.
My girlfriend listens to this podcast.
Saves me the trouble of having to objectify him.
We on the daily we use our imagination, and on Halloween you don't need to.
You don't
anymore.
need to. No.
So it saves us some brain power. Wow. But anyways, this episode is particularly creepy because we are going to talk about the most famous military ghost stories that have found their way to the surface from the grave.
From beyond the grave.
The grave.
From the great beyond. The unknown grave. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier?
Wrong place. Wrong grave. That one's
we know where that one is. So
absolutely.
Let on Mark Graves out there. Yeah, just it's funny. It's as I was kind of looking stuff up for this episode, there really are. There's some haunted houses out there. There's some legit ghost stories. You know, there's some maybe even some monsters out there.
There are.
From Army lore, I guess it wouldn't be any different, It's and especially us dealing with so much death, you kind of be disappointed if there
wasn't
weren't.
something.
Yeah,
I mean, the amount of bodies that have been stacked, something has to come back.
Yeah, something's got to come back.
Put that on a sticker, dude. The amount of bodies that get stacked, something's got to come back. Anyways, but
summer. It sounds like a tagline to a grocery store.
It does. I'll write that down, Chris.
A macabre grocery store.
Write that down. Feature idea. Pop culture.
Currently writing it down.
Okay, thank you, Chris. But I usually say this at the end of the podcast.
Cue music? Oh.
God damn it. Cue music. Spooky music cue. Okay.
That's right.
So we're going to dive into this and talk about some very famous military ghost stories. And Israel, if you want to take the reins, kick us off, buddy.
There's a couple in the midst of my research that kept popping up, Fort Leavenworth. Fort Leavenworth's haunted houses. Fort Leavenworth is actually considered, it's one of the most haunted places. There's upwards of about 36 different buildings. Tower 8 is a famous one. It's near the old disciplinary barracks. The disciplinary barracks was torn down, I think, in 2004. But the tower, one of their guard towers, still stands today. And there was a soldier who committed suicide there, blew his head off with a shotgun, and people have reported seeing him You know, maybe he's walking around asking for an aspirin or something like that for a splitting headache. There's a prisoner uprising during World War II. Guards executed upwards of 14 prisoners. They hung them from the gallows, you know, and there's a haunted elevator shaft. There was a woman there who actually got killed. The Lady in White, they call her. She was supposedly tortured and killed by local tribes, like during like the 1800s days, you know, Native American kind of stuff. And then there's the Rookery, which they say there's Major General Edmund Ogden, who's presumably commander of the ghosts. He died in the 1800s. The Legion of Ghosts, the Legion of Spirits. But yeah, Fort Leavenworth. Fort Leavenworth. Oh my gosh, where is it? Where's Fort Leavenworth? Is that
South
Carolina?
Kansas.
Kansas. Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never been
there.
there, but
No, because it's lame.
yeah,
It's where the pogues
Fort
go.
Lameworth.
Isn't that also where they send like people that are convicted of stuff in the military?
Yeah, you get sent to Fort Leavenworth for military
Oh, that's our
crimes.
military prison. Yeah.
That's where all the dirty birds go.
All the dirty birds, all the ones who don't make their beds right in basic training.
The guys that wipe their asses with their
With the
pants.
inside of their pants.
Oh no, those guys. That's where that guy went.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fort Leavenworth. I mean, that base has been around. That's one of the OG bases, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of history there. A lot of soldiers have came and gone. Have come and gone. Is that how you say it?
Or maybe they never left. Maybe they've come and then just
They
stayed.
never left. That's spooky, man. That's
Yeah.
super spooky. I mean, moving on to mine. We've talked about this one before, and I'm going to try to say it in a very spooky ghost storytelling
I'm freaked out
voice.
right now, man.
It's
You better
okay.
stop.
It's the Alamo.
Oh, the
right?
Alamo.
Even though the famous Alamo, where Texas made their last stands, very famous against the Mexican army. The Battle of the Alamo took place in 1836 and was a culmination of the struggle for Texas independence. 200 Texas soldiers and 600 Spanish soldiers met their doom during this battle at San Antonio. Their remains were dismembered, burned, and dumped into the San Antonio River.
Tasty.
Spooky river. But paranormal activity began only days later after this event, when Mexican General Juan Jose Andrade made camp several miles
That's where
away.
we are.
The general sent a colonel with a squad of soldiers to the mission to burn the remaining bodies there. But the soldiers suddenly returned, forsaking the failed mission as they said that 6 Diablos, which we know in English as
Mexican
devils,
fighting chicken.
Mexican fighting chickens. Devils guarded the front of the old mansion. So, ever since this, paranormal activity has continued over the last 80 years as visitors have experienced small children joining their tour groups only to completely disappear. The sound of clatter from horses on the pavement has also been reported, and most terrifying and scariest of all, I was trying to say a big word, sorry. Scariest of all, a man and a small boy have been seen throwing themselves off the roof of the Alamo. Could you imagine you're like there with your family of like 6 kids and you're just like looking around and all of a sudden this kid and dude
Up in
just
the-
fall
up in the
from a
ramparts.
building and they're like, ah, and you're like, holy shit, and there's nothing
you go over there.
Dude, that's scary.
That's scary. But, you know, I gotta make a confession right now, man. I'm not the biggest fan of like ghost stuff. You know, like
We
paranormal
know.
activity and
We
things
know.
like that. You know, I'm just.
What
it's
are
just,
ghosts to you? Do you believe in ghosts? What do you think?
So as a Christian, I think I don't think it's what we think it is. It's not our family members. I think it's like demonic forces.
You
and
think
things
it's all
like that.
bad?
It's all deception. Yeah, I think it's all. And you know what? Can I just say like, okay, ghosts. All right,
Okay,
if you
ghosts.
are really out there, why are you being so lame? Like what? Like turning off and on lights. What? Like barely audible stuff caught on recordings, shadows moving across like lights and things like why don't you do something cool? Like why don't you murder somebody or like manifest yourself as this evil demon? You know, if you're in the paranormal, which we know precious little about, just like the multiverse, you know, and why you gotta be lame like that? You know,
So your complaint is that ghosts aren't evil enough?
that's right. Yeah, if you're gonna come at me, bro.
Also, why ghosts are always old?
Ghosts are old.
Like, it's as if they're always like people in period dress from the 1800s,
Yeah.
the 1700s. I'm like, has
Where
no one
is-
died in the last
In the last
200
year,
years?
yeah, in the
Where-
last year, you know.
Where are the ghosts telling you, hold on, I'm sending a text message? Where are the millennial ghosts?
Yeah, where are the people that are like, they're in their Supreme hat and they're like, boom, motherfucker.
Yeah. It's always like older ghosts. You know, 200,
Imagine
300
some
years ago,
16-year-old
stuff like
kid coming up to you and going, smack cam, slapping you and disappearing.
that. Maybe there's like a holding pattern. Like there's too much activity, and so they have to. Maybe in 100 years, those people will be getting the millennials that have
Yeah.
died today.
Oh
They'll be
my
like,
God,
this
a flip
This was a
phone!
social media influencer from the year 2010. You know.
Oh, Jesus Christ, terrifying. That
Now-
dude's wearing Jenko jeans.
Yeah, he's got the wrist slapper
Yeah,
bracelets. you
oh
know.
my God.
He's eating it. You know, I forgot.
What's a new candy?
What's a new candy?
He's eating a Kit Kat.
He's eating. I was gonna say the what is the sour bomb? The ones the atomic.
Sour heads.
Warheads, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, boy,
my
that was a
God.
long way to go
This
for a
ghost
ghost
is
joke.
forcing me to eat warheads. It's so sour.
Maybe that's why with like paranormal movies and stuff like that, ghosts are like they're killing people, they're possessing people. Now I believe in demonic possession and stuff because that's
Those are scary.
well documented in the Bible. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I have been taught to not fear that stuff, not give it any place. You know anything.
You hear that,
in my
ghosts?
life. Yeah. So yeah,
Not over here.
You can't come over here. Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. But amen. Who cares about your personal vendettas?
That's
We're
right.
talking about ghosts.
But we're going to talk about these things nonetheless.
Exactly.
There's actually, can I talk about one I got? This was actually my favorite one to research, and it was OP Rock in Afghanistan. And this story is like 2009. This is kind of one of the more famous ones where it's a bunch of Marines out in Helmand Province, out in Afghanistan. It's a bad part of town, basically Afghanistan. They go out to this one. It's kind of a remote place. You know, it's always military strategy is so funny to me. You know, we have these. You always hear about the base that's
in
remote,
the most
unstrategically sound place. Like, no, do you have to be there? Why?
Like
Why do we
the
have to be there?
Korengal Valley, like they put that
Korengal Valley, yeah.
they put it right in the
Restrepo.
Yeah, Restrepo was placed right in the most tactically disadvantaged spot.
The bottom
in
of
the
valley.
bottom of a valley.
All these mountains you can see
360
into
degrees. Like Taliban could overrun them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But there's going to be some ghosts coming out of that one for sure.
Absolutely.
But it's a bunch of Marines. They relieve. There's a British unit there before them, and they are relieved. And the British unit's acting real squirrely, like real. They want to get out of there. They're real antsy. Usually, you do like a handoff. You know, it's like no, we go to go, mate. You know, or whatever. However British people sound. You only know driving in your car. You only know how they sound.
Yes.
So they hand out. And they also tell them like before they leave. They say, look, mate. That was pretty
Australian.
I know. It always ends up being Australian, or I end up sounding like a pirate.
Hi, bloke.
Right. Hey, Doug. Hey, Gov. But anyway, they tell them, like, look, if you find anything, if you dig anything up, put it back, right? And they're like, what are you talking about? And then they get out of there. So the Marines are there, and it's not a large group of Marines, you know, a small unit. And pretty soon they start, you know, it starts with like something like light, like radio noise. You know, they start hearing like voices over the radio, and then they call back to their, you know, to their headquarters, and they're like, no, we're not transmitting or anything. And they hear like Russian voices and stuff too, which is really weird. They also notice, and this is when the whole digging thing came up, they notice like half dug, like trenches and stuff, you know, because it's kind of on a rise and stuff, and you can skyline yourself easily. So
You gotta dig in.
Yeah, you gotta dig in a little bit. So they start doing that, and they end up digging up all these bones. Like, and they're like, oh, must be what they're talking about, you know. So they try to dig elsewhere, and there's just bones everywhere, all over this. So you can see pictures online and stuff like that. And then pretty soon the stuff gets like there's one night one guy tells a story of like he starts hearing like gunfire. And he gets down and he's taking cover, and then he gets back up after the gunfire stops. He looks, and there's nothing there. There's nobody there, you know. They start seeing things in their night vision and things like that. They start hearing whispers, like if somebody like right behind you, and then they turn and there's like nobody there. Or like they'll be dug in, and they'll hear like somebody walking on top, and they'll look up, and there's like nobody there, you know. And so much so that there was one guy even who. He started losing it, and he's like, I have to be transferred, and like everyone's like, you're a coward and all that kind of stuff, and then they start experiencing stuff like that, and the spookiest part is that, well, we'll talk about the history of the place. But let's do that now, and then I'll tell you the rest of the story, as they used to say. Spooky. But what they found out about the history of this place is like this place had been a highly contested spot for a long time. Like there was like back in the 80s, like the Russians came in, they killed a bunch of mujahideen, and then as like revenge, like the mujahideen came in and killed all the Russians and stuff. That explains like where the Russian stuff was coming from, you know. And then finally, when the Americans came in the invasion, they killed all the mujahideen that were there. So they took over this spot. So it was just a bloodbath, you know, and that's where all those bones and stuff came from. The rest of the story is of all the there was like a group of like 3 or 4 Marines and stuff. Three or four of them, they all ended up getting killed over in Afghanistan. Not at that place, but they all split up and got other deployments and stuff, and they all ended up dying there, you know. Except for like there was like one guy who came back, and to this day he swears that this is all what happened and stuff like that. So it's a pretty well documented, you know, kind of stuff, and pretty spooky. That's
OP Rock ended up being, as far as, because I looked into it when I saw it on here, and it ended up being a mass graveyard. They put an OP on top of a mass graveyard where Mujahideen and Americans and Russians were executed and buried.
Yep. Yeah, it was grisly. It wasn't just fighting. It was like execution.
Yeah, it wasn't like they dug up one set of bones. They dug up like dozens and dozens of bones of fighters.
You check the pictures out online, and it's real spooky.
It is very eerie.
Yeah.
Google it if you dare. Well, moving on here, I wanted to talk about this one just because it's located in Riverside, California, so not too far away from home. That would be an interesting episode to go down there.
To actually go to a haunted place.
And piss our pants and be like, what is this ghost liquid coming out of me?
Yeah, turn my flashlight on and off.
Yeah.
Walk in front of my camera, sort of.
But this one is I hope the spooky music is going. But this is the story of March Field Air Reserve Base located in Riverside, California.
Oh, wow, it's not too far
now a dental practice, but previously used to house a children's tuberculosis clinic, and to just barrel on top of that, had a morgue located in the basement. Talk about a, you know, terrible contracting job. Be like, hey, let's put this children's clinic on top of a morgue. Great idea. That way when the kids die, it's conveniently placed. But anyways, moving on. Staff have reported seeing apparitions of children playing in the building at night and or playing kid games like hiding your object. And if your iPhone goes missing, it's probably one of those kids. And that's terrifying.
Or
separating us from our phones.
I know.
Super
That's the scariest part of all.
That's scary. But scariest of all, in my opinion, one specific apparition that has been seen is a teenage girl whose face was slashed open, and she roams the hallways mumbling to herself, trying to find the person that has mutilated her. Boo! Did I get you in your car? Hopefully I didn't scare you too bad, because then you'd cause a traffic accident. But in 2016, speaking of paranormal investigators, the real heroes, they, in 2016, an officially sanctioned paranormal team explored the airbase, and their reports were chilling. They stated that a dark figure blocked them from exiting one of the rooms, which in my opinion, if it's a ghost, why can't you just walk right through
just
it?
push
Why
them
can't
over.
you just walk right through it?
Yeah.
What, did it really stop you?
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Did it really
or did
stop
you
you?
choose to stop?
Or were you just like, oh? And on top of that, numerous voices, like Israel likes to talk about, were captured on video. And these specifically, when asked in the room how many spirits occupied the building, a man's voice was heard on the playback saying 6. And then, after the man's voice was reportedly hearing, a higher pitched voice states 7.
So these ghosts are having a little bit of a quibble back and forth.
They don't know their numbers.
Say 6, governor. It's a British ghost.
It's obviously a British ghost.
No, it's 6. No, it's 7.
7. I'm here now. You forgot about me. But spooky, man. When I was reading on this one, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I was like, that is creepy, man.
That is creepy. That's creepy.
That is really
to think
creepy.
about, like,
Yeah.
you know.
But
especially when they go and these paranormal investigation teams are an interesting breed of people.
They are.
Sometimes I wonder if they aren't like reaching a little bit in a couple of the episodes that you watch. You know, they just need something to happen.
Yeah, they all wear affliction and they have faux hawks.
and they're out there with their equipment, the
Yeah.
headphones and the microphone.
Dude, do you remember the taps on Sci-Fi Channel? Ghost Hunter, the paranormal investigators.
Oh, no, I know that the show. sounds
Was it
familiar.
Ghost Hunter?
Ghost Hunters.
Was
Yeah.
it Ghost Hunters?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch that show. South Park really did them dirty. I thought that was
Oh, really?
hilarious. Yeah, because
Oh,
they
I-
overplayed everything.
That's so funny.
But
yeah, because
Yeah,
you got to be dramatic.
you got to be
know?
super dramatic. You
'Cause
got to let
ghosts-
them know that
ghosts
their
are
place is haunted, so that way you can advertise it as being haunted, and
That's
people
right.
will come.
Yeah, you can
'Cause
sell little T-shirts.
Yeah, people are very interested in
They are,
that
man.
type of stuff.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think people are so interested in like paranormal?
I think it gives them excuse to believe that there's something on the other side.
Yeah, you think it's like a need to know that there's something beyond just this mortal
Exactly.
coil.
Yeah, and they want to experience it for themselves.
Yeah,
They want evidence, so they want the feeling. And people like being scared. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the whole seller, in my opinion, for horror movies. Is
Yeah.
like if you didn't want to be scared, why would you waste your time watching this movie?
Yeah, but we don't want to actually be in danger. We want the thrill.
The thrill, yeah.
Of that like
The
excitement,
adrenaline.
that heart jump. Yeah,
Which I mean, I'm a big horror movie fan, man. I like the the setup, and I like the feeling of being scared. But it's very interesting because I mean, when you're in combat, and that's a different feeling. That's an adrenaline.
Yeah, and that's not, I my experience has been whenever there's a tense situation, you're very focused, right? You're not thinking of your own mortality. You're not getting emotional. You're focused on what you're doing.
Exactly, especially if you're trained. But I
Exactly.
mean, my one gripe with horror movies is like all common thinking goes out the window. When,
Yeah.
if
Because
you're
the movie has to happen.
the
Man.
movie has to happen.
They don't just get out of there. There's a couple of things here. Honorable mentions. We can talk about the USS Hornet. Is one of those is a haunted ship, but it's actually in San Francisco. Actually,
Is Doc there?
Doc. Oh,
Docked.
docked. Yeah, it's docked there.
Boat lingo.
I'm like,
my
is
friend.
Doc? Who's Doc? I
Who's
don't know.
Doc?
Doc Holliday.
Doc.
But it's in 27 years, the ship lost 300 people, 300 soldiers to either accidents or suicides.
Oh my God.
It's a cursed ship, but it has
It's like Fort Lewis.
Yeah.
The rain really gets to some people.
Yep. You can't break out of the, what is it? SADS, seasonal affective disorder.
Oh
sad.
man, sad. I'm just sad, man.
They really wanted to get that. Can we spell sad somehow with this medical thing?
Seasonal.
But it's funny that it's all like, well, I guess they got a lot of people there. That's the one I watched a documentary on the Hornet, and I'm like, that's like, yeah, in this room we leave flashlights in. Sometimes the ghost will turn them off and on. I'm like, that's lame. What do you do something? Gee, maybe they don't have the power to. Maybe when you're in the suit, maybe when you're near the great beyond, like you don't have a lot of corporeal, like Patrick Swayze powers,
Maybe the lights are going off because the ghosts are sticking them up their butt. Is that scarier?
I would love to know. That would be better, actually. They were actually doing something creative, with it.
You have no idea. You can't see what they're doing.
Well,
You're right. You're right.
Well, maybe on the other side, when it's dark, it's really light, and they want to turn the lights off, so they turn them on the other side.
So it's like a weird
mirror,
megaverse, like
mirror.
negative
They're
universe.
like, hey, turn those lights off. I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
New on Curiosity Stream. How do you connect a 16th century potato to limitless energy production? Could Napoleon's toothpick have a direct link to a machine that predicts the future? And how can a 1700s conch shell chart a course to humans connecting their brains to the internet? James Burke's visionary series Connections returns for a new generation. Experience all new Connections. With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
And they turn it on, and they're like, oh, thank God.
Honestly, Cam, I like that theory.
You like that theory?
Maybe that's why they're always messing with the lights.
Probably. 'Cause they're like,
they're
I'm
like
trying to get some sleep.
For them, maybe they want to rest. Maybe it's all just like they just want quiet. They just want to be left alone. But then everybody comes in, all the ghost hunters come in, and they're like, oh these guys
God,
again.
These guys again.
Yeah, maybe
Six.
everything that people do, lights, and when they're trying to record them, maybe in their realm, it sounds like people screaming, and they're like,
Yeah.
please just
Everybody-
be quiet.
Oh, maybe we're the ghosts to them in their
could
parallel.
No,
universe.
this isn't the others. Get out
Them,
of here.
oh, good one. Oh man, maybe they move chairs and balls around the room because it's on one of their friends and they want to get it off. of him.
Yeah. All
God, they
all
put a
these-
chair on Jerry.
These are all explanations that are very rational. you
Very
know?
rational.
I don't mind ghosts anymore. Thanks,
See?
you guys.
It's just perception, man.
Perception,
It's
yeah.
just
Perception is reality.
Put themselves in put yourself in their shoes.
Their ghost
and then
shoes.
steal their shoes. Leave them shoeless.
Another, let's see.
Oh, that
Go
one.
ahead.
This one. So not everything spooky that the military has encountered has been ghosts and such.
Yes.
Sometimes they come across mysterious creatures like the rock apes of the Vietnam War. This one is honorable mention here, but during long range reconnaissance and surveillance patrols in Vietnam, a squad of soldiers was patrolling and encountered a small version of a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
it was
it's
a
the closest
humanoid
description.
creature,
Yeah, humanoid, lots of hair.
Lots of hair.
But not like small, but not like tall, like big, like a Bigfoot. It's
like a
smaller-
man size,
man size, yeah.
covered in hair, kind of resembled an ape. But there's no apes in Vietnam, are there?
I don't think so. I think the ones that when they went and investigated, they maybe they used to be, but they were extinct like hundreds of years ago. They
And
were
it was
extinct.
humanoid shaped, so that was documented as
both sides had
both
really
sides.
seen them,
Yeah.
a lot,
And
and
that's
then
pretty-
local villagers and things. There was another story that I read about that I thought might have been connected. There was a guy who's a tunnel rat, which are the guys that would go into the underground tunnels and look for
balls of steel.
balls of steel. Man, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have.
It's always the small guys too. It's like
Yeah.
the small stature guys because they fit in the holes the best.
Yep, they would go look these Viet Cong, like tunnel networks, and they would go and they'd either find people or equipment or blow them up or whatever.
Yeah, and that was really nerve wracking because the Viet Cong would booby trap the tunnels, and when they'd go and crawl through these tunnels trying to clear them of the Viet Cong, one wrong turn and you could blow yourself up.
Yeah.
And one trick that I read from someone who used to be a tunnel rat is they would have to track the footsteps or like the footprints in the dirt because they would intentionally set other rooms that were rigged to blow. So if you saw footprints going in direction and there wasn't any footprints going in that room, if you went in that room, you would have been blown up. Yeah, so they would always track the footsteps on the ground because same thing with like when we do a observation of like a target days ahead and we'd see like them using a specific exit and no one would ever go through another exit. We would go in that because the other one could be potentially rigged.
Oh man, that's a really good observation. That attention to detail is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this guy in this particular occasion, it was a couple of them going through, and they would hear a wailing woman, like wailing and calling out for help, and they like tracked it down to this one particular room, and they looked inside, and it was just all these bodies just torn apart.
Oh man, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and they got freaked out and stuff, and they so they backed out of there. But then even as they were leaving, they heard the voice again of the wailing woman,
man.
and from back in the direction where there couldn't have been any.
Dude,
there was
that's
no other way out.
terrifying. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, being in those tunnels is scary enough.
Yeah.
If you're claustrophobic, like, those tunnels weren't meant for, like, full-grown men. They're, like, you're hunched over.
Yeah,
You have
little
the only,
Vietnamese people.
Yeah, there is no light source. The only light source you have is your tiny L-shaped flashlight that runs off AA batteries that you can see, like, 5 feet with.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying experience. Oh, my God.
That one actually gave me chills, mostly because of the claustrophobic,
Oh, yeah, no, just putting yourself in that guy's shoes, you're like, damn, dude. Do you have any paranormal experiences in your time of service?
My time of service, no. I was racking my brain before we started of thinking of like anything like weird or unexplained, but no, it was pretty standard stuff. All my stuff was pretty explainable.
Oh, dude. I have some stories.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Legit ghost story.
Fort Benning. I'm surprised Fort Benning isn't on the list because, I mean, the amount of people that have come and gone in that base was ridiculous. And I'll tell you my story.
Tell me your story.
I'll tell you my story now. So when good old Private Fath was in pre-RASP, the pre-RASP building, they kept us in like the condemned barracks that were like about to be destroyed because there's so many old buildings on Fort Benning and they're constantly trying to build it up, but like there's not a lot of room for us. So back in 2013, 15, they transitioned pre-RASP over to the actual Ranger compound. So it was like they kept you in this building that was next to Airborne School, and when you classed up, you moved over to the compound. But we were in the process of moving. But since they still had control over the building, they had to put CQ people in there to watch it at night and like during the day. So I was put on CQ with another guy. I don't remember his name, but me and him were doing a night shift, 12-hour shift in the building that they put us in. And it was completely empty. Everybody had moved out, and we were just in the CQ room. And
it's always creepy being in, you know, one thing I do not like in terms of like weird, creepy setting, it's like old abandoned buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's like lots of space and it's just deadly quiet.
I mean, this building was pretty big. I mean, it was able to house like hundreds of people in it. So it was, I think it was 3 levels high and just really long, because it was just a hallway with like a building or like a shared bathroom, like 2 shared bathrooms on each floor, and it was just, you know, like 4 to a room, and there was at least like 18 to 20 rooms on each floor. So a lot of people, the big building. And I remember we were on CQ, and my CQ runner had left for, I think he was either getting food or he was going to go to the PX and pick up some stuff. And so I'm sitting in this building.
You're alone.
I'm alone in the building, as far as I know. And I'm like sitting there, and all of a sudden I start hearing on the floor above me, I start hearing boot steps going down the hallway, like really slow, like somebody's like doing an inspection, just like goo, 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 goo. And I don't think anything of it, because I'm like, oh, maybe my partner came back and he's doing the inspections. I'm like, I didn't think anything of it. But it was weird because it was the sound of like, not like the new boots, but it was like the sound, like like an old leather boot, real heavy sole. And like our new boots were like rubber soled, and we were wearing our PTs, so we were wearing athletic shorts. So I didn't really think into it. I was just like, oh, that's kind of weird. And so that happened, and I didn't think anything of it. So I kept like reading my book. I was reading The Reaper by Nicholas Irving. It was a Ranger sniper.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of grammatical errors in that book, but definitely written by a Ranger.
Okay.
That was for sure. But I was reading that book, and what really got me was, as I'm reading this book, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I hear someone on like the 3rd floor go sprinting down the hallways, and then the door to the stairwell was a big heavy wooden door. I heard someone take off in a sprint, and the door was closed, because we closed all the doors, and the door opens and slams shut. And I'm like, there's no wind in here. I was like, you can't, like, this door is really heavy. It's a giant wooden door, and it's got like metal plating on it. And I was like, what the heck? So I went up there, like, oh, little private path, like shaking in my shoes. Come on. And I go up there, and nobody's up there. And then like 45 minutes later, my partner gets back, and I asked him, I was like, dude, were you walking around in this building like in the past hour? Did you like come back to do the inspections or anything? And he's like, no, man, I haven't been here since I left. And that was at like in the middle of the night, and I wanted to get the fuck out of there. Yes. So scary. Those buildings are haunted as fuck, dude. So
a lot of really angry privates.
Yeah, literally, just of all the worldwide people that get kicked from RASP, their saltiness
their
remains.
Their spirit remains.
Even though they're still alive, just the quitter spirit.
The quitter spirit lives.
The spirit of the quitter lives.
After that, you quit RASP.
Yeah, and their rage exists in the hallway, slamming doors. So I experienced that at Fort Benning, and I was like, dude, this sucks.
Oh, man, wow.
I was like, please let me start RASP. I'd rather real people fuck with me, not dead ones.
Yeah, the great beyond. At least something I could see.
Yeah, at least something I could foresee coming. So that happened to me at Fort Benning, and that was like, I specifically remember that because I started dipping Skull Peach for the first time that night. So I specifically remember because I was like, I really like the flavor of this dip.
Oh, the dip. Okay.
Yeah,
the tobacco.
Dip, yeah, the chewing tobacco. And like I remember because I was like, because someone was like, Skull Peach is for bitches. And then I stopped dipping after that day because I was like, yeah, Skull Peach is for bitches. But yeah, man, died. That was my experience.
That's a wild story, man. That's right in line with the standard standard ghost
The
stuff.
standard ghost story, yeah.
They
Fort
got
Benning.
nothing to do but run down hallways and open doors.
Yeah, and old boots.
Old boots.
Old boots, man. But yeah, that was actually really terrifying.
Dude, I know the feeling of like, I used to have a real problem with like the dark, just personally, and I live alone.
Like when you walk up the stairs and you think someone's right behind you, so you start running up the stairs, even though when you're a little kid.
And you see, and that you get that your heart starts pounding, you immediately turn into sweats and stuff like that. Like your body really knows how to, our bodies really react to that, like that kind of fearful stuff where you hear something all of a sudden,
Yeah, and your imagination goes wild.
Yeah, and that was like my big thing is like I'll stand in a dark room and I just think I see like shapes, like the couch cushion turns into like a gargoyle or something,
Yeah. It takes off. Your couch just takes off. through
My
the
pillow
window.
flies at my face.
Yeah, man. But I think, they got the picture. I think everybody listening got the picture. And
Yeah, folks, let us know in the comments. Write to us. Let us know if you have any personal ghost stories, situations.
yeah, if you guys know of any military ghost stories.
Yeah, especially the Japanese base. That's an American military base, but it's over in Japan. But like, I would love to hear about like other foreign country like ghost stories. Like
that'd
from
be crazy.
other militaries and things like that. We can.
There's been like monster stories, or even more monster stories, like the. Did you ever hear about the giant of the Kandahar giant in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I read up on that, but then
it turned out to be fake.
Yeah, that's why I actually was thinking about talking about it. But then you read up into it, and it's like one guy, and like he can't substantiate what he says, and like the story doesn't stick and stuff. It's just
and for the viewers that don't know about the Kandahar giant of Afghanistan, it was a squad went out as a QRF to search and rescue another squad of military men that they lost comms with them, and as they were scaling the mountains, they came across a cave, and all the previous squad's equipment and uniforms were all ripped and just standing at the mouth of the cave, and they ended up killing a 9-foot human guy that was responsible for killing all these guys, and they actually bagged him and took him back to the base, and it's been like a CIA classified thing.
Became they put him they put him in the big storage house right next to the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, next to the Loch Ness monster.
The only other I was looking for there's scary stories, but they don't necessarily have anything to do with the supernatural. There was World War II, in Switzerland or something, where a unit comes into town and one of their privates disappears, and they can't find him. There's no trace of him or anything like that. And then pretty soon kids would start disappearing. One kid, and they're looking for him, can't find, and then more kids start disappearing. And then finally one day they're doing a patrol and they see somebody and they chase him down, and they are looking into they come to this cave, and they look, and there's gunfire comes out of the cave, and so they shoot inside the cave, and they go inside, and it's the private, and he's naked, and then there's all these half-eaten kids.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's some sort of weird sadistic cannibal, ravenous type story and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of scary things that come out of World War II, because the Nazis were really obsessed with the occult.
Dude, yeah, we could do a whole episode. I tried to do a little bit of that, but it was there's too much information out there on Nazis being into all sorts of weird stuff, trying to find the Holy Grail and stuff, and trying to start their own religion and stuff. That's going to be its own thing, because they were into some wild, crazy stuff, like Himmler and that,
Yeah, so stand by for that episode. That may be coming here soon.
Yeah.
But
the Nazi episode.
That'll be our Christmas episode.
Christmas episode. Yes. We'll do that one for Christmas. We'll keep spirits high there.
Yeah, spirits, the operative word.
Good Indiana Jones trade-off there. Very good. So stand by for that episode.
That's right.
But man, I think it's a good time to transition to our game here.
Now, Are you going to take this one? Because I am
going to take this one.
Okay.
Or Chris.
No, it's me.
Never mind.
All right.
It's not me. I'm not the chosen one. Chris is the chosen one here.
Welcome for a fun, lighthearted game of pure evil.
Yeah. Ooh, spooky.
So this is a fun one. I'm going to give you a title of a scary movie, video game, TV show, song, or book. Yes, even a book.
Song.
There's so many books here.
Scary
and
song.
You have to tell me who the main or best evil bad guy is.
Spooky.
Who's
bonus
the bad
points,
guy? Okay.
Yeah, who's the evil culprit,
Scary bad guy.
Bonus points if you tell me what their thing or how they kill their victims is.
Oh, okay. All right.
Prepare to be tortured. Mentally.
Spooky.
Super spooky. Okay. Here's the warm up.
Okay.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Freddy Krueger, and he kills people in their dreams with a hand glove thing.
Yeah, he's got a knife hand glove.
Knife hand glove.
Yeah.
I just called it a knife glove, but
knife glove.
that's correct. That's the warm up. So you get the gist of the game.
Knife
Yes.
a knife hand glove.
Yeah, he kills you
Listen
with
up,
a
Private.
solid. Yeah.
Aren't-
Hey, private. Dead.
Aren't all gloves hand gloves?
Not feet.
Isn't that
gloves.
redundant? Well,
Not if you have
it's not
toe
a
shoes.
glove. That's a sock, then, right?
What about it? What
Yeah,
about
whatever,
it?
Chris.
Yep.
Play the
think
game, Chris.
scariest
Focus
thing
on the
is-
game.
You can have
How-
feet gloves.
All right,
Socks.
let's go. Okay. Number 1. It.
It.
It
That's an easy
is-
one.
It is an alien being from the outer worlds that can mimic other people, and it gets you by.
Eating children.
Well, I mean, it can turn into a giant thing and like
What
grab
is
you.
its name?
Pennywise.
Oh, it! Oh, I'm thinking of the thing. I'm thinking of a totally thing. But he is from the outer world. He is from
He is-
space.
yeah, he's
So I was kind of right
He's
with
an
that.
ancient alien.
He's an
Ancient
ancient
alien.
alien.
How does he? What's his thing? Or
His
its
thing is he eats children.
Yeah, his fear is like his.
He feeds
weapon,
off
too.
fear.
Feeds off fear.
There it
yeah.
is. It's your fear. That's
Yeah,
how he
it's your
gets you.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
Very good.
mimics your fear
Yep.
and then eats you.
All right.
Unless he chomps you underneath the bleachers.
This one, it may be a little too broad, but I'm thinking of a specific person. The Silent Hill series.
The Silent Hill series. If you're thinking of a specific person, you thinking of the guy with the giant cleaver, triangle head,
Pyramid Head.
pyramid head.
I am thinking of Pyramid Head.
Pyramid head.
What's his thing?
He decapitates people.
Yeah, he's a giant sword cleaver thing that he chops you. And
His
then
thing
in
is
the
he
mo-
just chops you.
in the movie he grabs a girl and he rips her skin off by hand. Like he totally skins her. It's crazy.
He cleaves people.
I'll take a giant sword. That's what I had written down.
A giant.
What an iconic character, horror movie, horror
Pyramid
game
Head.
character. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pyramid Head.
The Silent Hill series is good. I like
Did you
it.
say Pinhead? Pinhead was
Pyramid
a
Head. No,
wasn't wait.
Pinhead is
Pinhead's
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
Yeah, but that's Hellraiser. But wasn't he? Speaking of military stuff, wasn't he a World War I officer that like got cursed or something?
I didn't watch
Oh,
enough of the movies to get that.
I think he was.
I just know that he gets off on torturing people.
Oh, I love
was a
this
drill sergeant.
suffering.
I'm going to
All right.
make you enjoy your torture.
The Halloween series.
The Halloween series, Michael Myers, his thing was he was a mute and he bored people to death
How did he do most of his killing?
with a steak knife.
With speeches, he would
sorry.
speak.
No, he
he'd
kills-
talk until people wanted to kill
Yeah,
themselves.
he's stabby. He likes to stab people.
Classic steak knife.
Cat,
Whatever.
classic slasher.
I'll say butcher's knife.
Butcher knife, yeah.
Butcher,
knife,
yeah, and it's not a steak knife. It's a chef's knife.
You guys,
Chef's
you're
knife, yeah.
you're 3 for 3.
And I'm
including
amazed at
the
how many
warm-up.
horror movies and horror things we've seen in
I
the
feel
course
like
of our life.
this is like your wheelhouse. I think you guys like horror.
I love horror.
I say I don't like horror, but it appears I've been exposed to a lot of horrific things.
Yes.
All right. Dead Space 2.
There you go.
I love this. I love this series. I mean, it's the necromorphs.
That's correct.
They are mutated, twisted beings that are created by this thing called the Marker, which is like this ancient alien artifact, which actually ended up being a creation of humans. Actually, you find that out later. Spoilers. They're remaking it. Actually, they're doing a remaster of all my video game nerd fans. They're doing a Dead Space remaster, which you probably already know about if you're as nerdy as me. Also, the Callisto Protocol.
What are the
What's their
necromorphs thing? How do they?
I mean, they just
They
rip
just-
you
they
apart.
rip
They
you
stab.
apart.
They got all sorts of
They're
spikes and
stabby,
tentacles
they're
and stuff.
bitey, they're terry.
The deaths in that game are really gruesome. They're very
Yeah.
graphic. Like when you die, you almost want to die because every monster kills you in a different way. Like there's these they're little like zombie head things, but they have tentacles like
Yeah,
squids.
yeah.
And if they kill you, they rip your own head off and flip it back, and then they insert their tentacles into your body, and
they
you
take
walk
control.
off like a zombie. It's it's gross. It's the worst.
I put
pretty metal.
I put ripping you to shreds.
Ripping you to
Or
shreds.
their
yeah.
claws.
Mine was more interestingly and descriptive.
Yours is much more descriptive. Okay.
I like this game.
4 for 4. You're doing great. Here's that song I was talking about. Nightmare on My Street. It's a
Is that Eminem?
it's a Fresh Prince song
Oh,
from
yeah.
the 80s.
Fresh, like Will Smith?
Will Smith. There's a nightmare on my street.
Yeah.
So who's-
DJ Jazzy Jeff gets killed, actually.
He does.
There's a part of the song where he's talking. He's like, Jeff, don't fall asleep. He's like, oh, man. Then you hear Freddie. Oh,
man, how I'm
I'm
gonna
your
fall
DJ
asleep?"
now, Princey.
He's like, I'm gonna fall asleep with all these bitches, man.
He's like, don't
So
fall asleep.
who's the bad guy?
That would be Freddy Krueger
Freddy Krueger is
Yeah.
the bad guy.
With
with, wait, Fresh
What are-
Prince?
Freddy Krueger is the bad guy. What's his thing?
Oh, with his
His glove
hand.
knife hand glove.
His knife hand glove.
Oh, you could just say knife glove.
Knife hand glove.
All right. They're going to get a little harder now.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe not one of them, since I think it's actually one of Israel's favorite games. Okay. Slither.
Slither. These things.
You don't know the specific name. I'm thinking of the main evil guy in Slither. If you don't know its name, I'll forgive you.
Played by Michael Rooker.
Played by Michael Rooker.
Aren't they like parasite, like larva things?
Yeah. Where do they come from?
The ocean.
No.
No, I've never seen the movie.
It's space.
Space.
I think they come in a meteor.
They do.
Yeah.
But that's like the means to the end. What's the thing called?
What's
because there's the main one that is Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
And then the slugs are like his minions.
I don't know. I don't know what he's called.
Does he suck people dry?
Well, no, he becomes like mutated and ginormous. Like he's this organism that just keeps growing, and the little slug things are like they infest people and they bring them to him so he can like ingest them and impregnate them with more worms. He's like
I think that's the answer right there.
Post-consciousness. Yeah, I don't know what they're called. But
I'm going to give you credit because you know it's Michael Rooker. It's the name of the thing is actually The Long One.
The Long One?
Yeah.
The long one.
Interesting.
We must give these beings to the long one.
I know. I love collective consciousness monsters are always like weird to me, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or like, you know, what is it, Unity from
the Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. Or the Borg. That's always like a play on like taking away your individuality, your individual agency and thought. You know?
I know what's best for
creepy.
you collection.
Yeah.
Which ties into the military really well. Okay.
Yes.
Or you could join the military.
We are one.
This one's a game. It's Fear.
Fear, you know this one.
Yeah, this is a good one. Do you know anything about it?
You've explained it in an episode.
Yeah, Fear stands for First Encounter Assault Recon. It's like a special group that's, you know, I forget what the exact lore is, but they were designed to like investigate like paranormal attacks or whatever.
Taps?
And yeah, paranormal taps. Yep.
Yeah, so they're ghost hunters on Sci-Fi Channel.
Or
so who's the bad guy?
The bad guy or girl in this case is Alma. She is a paranormal presence. She's a little girl like The Grudge, you know. She's got like a little hair hanging over her head, and she tortures you. And then in the second one, she gets more powerful and sucks people dry from their life force.
Isn't she also like a reverse pedophile?
Yeah. Well, she definitely rapes you in the second one.
That's crazy.
She takes advantage of your
reverse pedophile.
But you end up she is the daughter of this doctor who was doing these paranormal experiments, and he would experiment on her. And like he ended up twisting her mind and stuff like that. So she gets revenge by killing everybody.
I put that her thing as mind powers. Is that accurate?
Yeah, mind powers are good. Yeah, she gets more powers. She starts like she does the whole mummy thing where if she gets a hold of somebody, she sucks their life force out and makes them a dead skeleton. You know.
All right, so you guys have gotten all of them, but there's one last one.
Okay.
This one is difficult. It's from a book.
From a book.
There's a monster at the end of this book. Who's the monster?
I think I know.
A book? Are you gonna give
the
us
way
name
you
of the
describe it makes me think of something very particular. Go for it, Cameron.
There's a monster at the end of this book.
You want us to guess the book just by saying the book?
Yeah.
There's a monster at the end of this book.
I want you to say who the monster is at the end of the book.
What book?
That's the name of the book.
Oh.
Wait. The book is called "There's a Monster at the End of this Book." Oh, okay. I was totally misreading you. I thought you were talking about like I Am Legend. You know,
no, and it's not.
I thought you were gonna be like humans.
Oh, I totally was gonna be it's us.
Not
it's
the one remaining human.
I thought you were like, oh yeah, the book is life, and humans are the monsters.
The name of the book is "There's a Monster at the End of this book." That's the name of the book.
Okay.
It's a children's book.
It's a children's book.
Who is the monster?
The monster is the last page is a mirror. And it shows the reader. Ooh, that would be fucking intense.
Oh, is that it?
No. It's Grover. The Muppet.
The Muppet?
Oh. That's really good though, Cameron. I thought you were looking it up online right now, you know?
No,
like
it's
there's a mirror and it's you.
No, I'm just writing that.
Now
book.
what's Grover's thing?
Grover's
making love to chickens.
Grover Cleveland, he was like a president, wasn't he?
He's a trash guy. He lives in the
No, that's
trash.
Oscar the Grouch.
Okay. Grover.
Grover doesn't
he has
have
a hat.
thing.
He has got a hat, right?
No.
Cookies?
That's Fozzie Bear.
He's a Cookie Monster.
No, that's
No,
the
that's
Cookie
Cookie
Monster.
Monster.
Oh, okay.
Grover. Oh, Grover's the red one.
No, that's Elmo. Okay, Grover's blue and he doesn't have anything.
Oh, Grover!
He's
Yeah.
a Muppet.
Oh, he's just a Muppet. He's the goofy kind of wild
Yeah, he's
Muppet,
So
right?
he doesn't have a thing. He doesn't murder anyone.
Doesn't he call it like Super Grover?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
okay.
Super
And he
Grover.
makes love to chickens.
Yeah.
Okay.
He makes love to chickens.
Yeah, that
Everybody-
actually is his wink,
Everybody,
wink thing.
that's his thing.
Oh, no,
he,
those poor chickens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's the chickens.
Or
okay.
that poor Grover.
Boy, we need to
Settle for
to
chickens.
bone up on
There
our
you go.
Muppet
I'm not going
lore.
to count that last one because it was a joke. But you guys got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 7.
Hey,
Nice.
Happy Halloween.
Pound. Happy
Nice.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Oh, man. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed that
We
episode.
hope you were freaked out.
Yeah, we didn't hope you enjoyed it. We hope it scared the shit out of you.
Yeah, and you're so scared you never listen to another episode. Wait, don't do that.
Yeah, keep listening. Keep listening. And if you want to keep listening, there's a new podcast coming out every Wednesday, so mark your calendars. Also, our YouTube videos are coming out every Friday now. We're back up to speed. It's awesome. Our editor is healthy and
She's
alive
amazing.
and kicking and amazing, and
Love her
she's
so
pushing
much.
them out. So tune in every Friday to see our beautiful smiles. Smile at the camera. No, that's your camera.
No, you
over there.
can't.
Okay.
Oh.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Israel. And also, if you guys want to write us, go ahead and send us a message to our email.
Yeah, we
or-
love hearing from you. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. At PCFMpodcast@gmail.com, or what's our Instagram handle, Izzy?
We got PCFM Podcast. Just PCFM Podcast. If you go to Instagram, that's where we keep you up to date on the latest and greatest news. We post memes and all that kind of stuff. It's good times.
It is good times.
Yeah.
What if they want to hang out with you, Izzy?
If they want to hang out with me, they can go to hell.
Yeah.
That's a Halloween themed joke. You can hang out with me. I stream live on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Go to twitch.tv/myhappyself. What about you, Cameron? What if they want to take part in your entrepreneurial enterprises?
If you guys want to take part in my entrepreneurial enterprises, go ahead and check out my streetwear brand, Kit God, and you can find us on Instagram at Kit God Apparel. That's KITGOD Apparel, or on our website at www.kitgodapparel.com. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and cue